Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to show you how to align and crop the radiograph from the 3D slicer and align it at the center of Blenderfordental. So why bother going through these extra steps to align the radiograph with the Blenderfordental's world origin? Because sometimes the radiograph will be off the center a great distance, and then every time we import, for example, implants or we import sleeves, it will be the implant and the sleeves will be at the center of the Blenderfordental, while the radiograph will be off-centered. So in this example, the radiograph is really off the center. As you can see here, there is nothing here, but if we zoom out a little, we will see that the radiograph is above there, not in the center of 3D Slicer, and will not be in the center of Blenderfordental. Now we are going to DentalSegmentator. We can go there by pressing on this Find module and then type DentalSegmentator and then double click on it. And we are going to choose the cropped model that we have done here, and then we're going to press apply. As you can see here, you may see that the radiograph may be in the center of the 3D slicer, but that's not the case. When we press on the import all segments, you will see that the radiograph is not world origin of Blenderfordental. When we zoom out, we see that the radiograph is actually off-center, like it was here before. And the problem here is when we import implant, for example, as we press here, the implant will be at the center of Blenderfordental, while the radiograph will be off-centered. So we have to zoom out and zoom in again to get the implant into the model and continue planning, which will be a lot of hassle. And also, as you can see here in 3D Slicer, the implant is also not near to the radiograph. It's at the bottom, not in the center of 3D Slicer. So that's why I came up with these steps to align and crop the model to help the DentalSegmentator segment the model better, and to make the radiograph at the center of Blenderfordental, so we don't have to keep zooming out and zooming in to move the implants to the model. So now I'm going to show you how I crop the model from the full-size CT radiograph, how I aligned it with the center of Blenderfordental for easy manipulation of objects. So now I have closed Blender and started new project. We go to the guide designer and then we press on create patient file, so that the blend file will be synchronized with the 3D Slicer project. Now I'm going to press on new slicer instance and start 3D Slicer. Now we are going to see the 3D Slicer. Now I'm going to the DCM to import the patient that we are going to work on. Now we are going to select the patient that we were working with, and then select the radiograph. So as you can see here, the 3D Slicer has opened the radiograph, and this radiograph, it's the full radiograph, which includes the skull and the spine and the full view. So in order to view the 3D view of the radiograph without segmentation, we are going to go to volume rendering module. We're going to press on this drop-down menu and then press on volume rendering. We're going to select the radiograph and then enable it. As you can see, you can't see the radiograph here because it's off-centered, as we said before. Now we are going to choose the preset that we want, which is CT bone, and then we can adjust the intensity of the view. Now we will go to Blenderfordental and then make our reference object, which will help us and show us where is the world origin of Blenderfordental in 3D Slicer. Now we are going to make our object in the center of Blenderfordental. But as you can see here, the 3D cursor is not at the center of the world origin. How to make it go to the world origin? We are going to Object, Snap, and then Cursor to World Origin. Now I'm going to make an object at the 3D cursor. So I'm going to press Shift A, Mesh, and then Cube. And then we don't scale the cube in the object mode because it will affect the scale. We can go to item and then see that the scale is to original proportions. So while the cube is selected, I'm going to the object mode and then edit mode, I'm going to press on the face mode, and then while the all faces are being selected, I can scale the square a little bit. But as I said before, scaling in edit mode will not affect the scale in item, and we will see after finishing our reference object. Now I'm going to select these faces by first clicking and then shift and left click and shift and left click the other face. I'm going to press on Alt E and then extrude along the faces to make projections in every axis. Now I'm going back to the object mode. And as you can see here, the scale is not affected. It's still to the original values. And we need to make sure that the scale is at default values because it will affect the scale of the radiograph and other models. Now we are going to Model Designer, press Add Color to add a color to the object so it can be seen much better than the white color. Then we are going to the Guide module, and then we are going to the Implant Planning, and then transfer any objects. Now we will go back to the 3D-Slicer, and as you can see here, the center of Blenderfordental is shown here. We need to make this cube stay as it is, so we will go to the drop-down menu, Transforms, and then we will see that the cube is at the Transform table. Now we're going to click on it and then harden it so the cube will not move. Now we are going to move our bone. So we're going to select the volume of bone and then enter it into the transform. As you can see, that the bone has changed its orientation, but the scale is the same, as you can see here. Now, for the manipulation of the volume to be at the center of Blenderfordental, I'm going to press on the display menu here. On the interaction menu, I'm going to enable the visibility. Now we will see a transformation gizmo, which will move. We'll use it to move the volume, the radiograph at the center of Blenderfordental. Okay, so now we have placed it at the world origin. We just need a few rotations. Okay, so now it's at the planned alignment that we want. We will now disable the transform gizmo at this menu, and then we'll go back to the table of the apply transform, select the volume that we have transformed, and press harden. Now we are going to crop the radiograph. So we are going to the search menu here and type crop. We will see this crop volume. So we leave the volume parameter as it is. The input is the of the radiograph, and then we are going to select an input region of interest. This will show us the crop dimensions that we are going to use. So we will crop to the desired area that we want. Okay, so now at the output volume, we will leave it as it will create a new volume, and leave everything at the advanced menu as it is. Now we are going to press on apply. Then we will go back to the volume rendering, disable the original radiograph, and then enable the cropped radiograph. Okay, so now we go back to the crop, and then we are going to disable the region of interest. After alignment and cropping of the radiograph, now we will go to the DentalSegmentator using this search icon and type dental. Here it is. So now we have to choose the cropped volume. We press on this drop down menu and choose the bone cropped, and then press on apply to start segmentation. Now the DentalSegmentator has finished the segmentation. We will go back to volume rendering and disable it. As you can see here, we are left with the with the segmentations, and as you can see here, the reference that we used to align the radiograph with the Blenderfordental world origin. We are going to the Blenderfordental, and then at the slicer link, we are going to press on import all segments. And now, as you can see, The radiograph is at the center of Blenderfordental as planned in 3D-Slicer. And to make sure that the scale has not been affected, I'm going to import the model of this patient. As you can see, the model has been imported at the Blenderfordental origin. I'm going to do some manual alignment. And then we will go to the alignment module to make perfect alignment. As we will go to the alignment module, there are two types of alignment, the landmark and the paint method, but I personally like the paint method as it's easier and quicker. So we have to tell Blender which one is moving and which one is the destination. So I'm going to click on the model and name it moving, and then click on the teeth, name as destination. Now I'm going to color each moving and destination at the same areas. So I'm going to press on color moving. And then I'm going to color the destination at the same areas. Now I'm going to select both of them and then perform alignment. Now I'm going to confirm the alignment. And to make sure that the alignment was sufficient, I'm going to select both of the moving and the destination and press on color map. And as you can see here, the alignment is good, with the blue being 0 mm difference. And as you can see, it's good alignment, and there are no red areas, which is the 50 micron difference. So I'm going to press on exit, and then I'm going to transfer this model to the 3D slicer by the same process at the implant planning, and then transfer any objects. And now, as you can see here, the model has been transferred to the 3D slicer, and there are no difference in the scale, and everything is perfect. So even when we close on this radiograph and pressing shift to change the slices, you will see that the alignment is good. Now to proceed with implant planning, I'm going to import a tapered implant. And as you can see that the imported implant is at the center of the Blenderfordental. Now I can rotate it and then place it on the upper arch like this. And then the location of the implant will be synchronized in 3D Slicer. Now I'm going to split the Blenderfordental and 3D Slicer. And as you can see here, the implant is at the same position as it was in the Blender. Now I can rotate it a little bit to avoid the root. Another great feature in Guide Designer is that we can make an image slice and make it rotate around the implant to see the implant in the 360 view in slices. So I'm going to press on the slicer link and then create image slice. Back to implant planning, I'm going to select the implant and then press on snap image slice to selected implant. Of course, we have to enable the Blender Slicer bridge here by putting on search icon and type Blender, and then select the cropped. Now, when I press on the image slice, the green window and the 3D view will be synchronized with the manipulation of this image slice. So I'm going to rotate it in 90 degrees. And then we can rotate around the implant to see the implant in all dimensions. Now I'm going to talk about some tips to optimize your 3D Slicer experience. First of all, we are going to go to the Data module, which can be found in the drop-down menu and then Data. While in this menu, we can do many things. We can change the color of segmentations, we can hide the objects, and even we can delete an object or a segmentation or whatever from 3D Slicer. So to change the color of the segmentation or the model in 3D Slicer, at any object or volume, you can see the color icons here. You can double click on it and then double click on the color menu here and then change the color to the desired color. As you can see here, now the maxilla has changed its color to blue. For example, if you want to make the model color red, we will search for the model. Here it is. the upper jaw, and then double click on the color, and then choose red, for example. Now you can see here that the outline of the model has become red. Now we don't need this reference object as we have aligned the radiograph with the center of Blenderfordental. So it's called cube. We're going to press on it, and then we can either hide it or we can delete it by right click and then delete. Also, to get more real estate of 3D-Slicer, as you can see here, I can't minimize this panel anymore. So we can go to the view, appearance, and then disable the module panel. Now we can have more real estate of 3D-Slicer, and even you can change the orientation of the slices and 3D view by pressing on this icon and then choose your desired setup, like this, for example. And that concludes the end of this video. I hope you liked this video and thank you for watching. And you can see my other videos by clicking on the video cards that are available now.